In the series Yellowstone, there's a woman who says there are 4 ways to get rich. 1. Robbery and fraud. The condition is that you must have enough intelligence, capability, and power to keep the wealth you've stolen or scammed. 2. Inheritance from your parents. The condition is having rich parents. 3. Being a woman with exceptional blowjob skills and having solid evidence that your wealthy husband is cheating. 4. Working extremely hard to solve humanity's problems, with the condition that you give up everything else and focus solely on work. To simplify, it's about making money in any way possible so you no longer have to worry about money. So today, I'm going to sum up all the ways to get rich that I know. Of course, there are different levels of wealth. Here, we're only focusing on a level that's just above average. Marrying a rich wife. Marrying a rich wife is a path no school teaches you. You have to rely on your own knowledge, life experience, and social skills. Or you need to be good-looking, charming, and understand how women think. A clean, attractive profile picture doesn't hurt either. There are generally 2 types of rich wives. The first type is like winning the lottery. She's rich, beautiful, around your age, and comes from a well-off family. But this is real life, not a Disney movie. No billionaire dad is going to hand over his daughter to a broke guy with potential. And even in movies, the broke guy usually has a fairy godmother or some magical mentor backing him up before the rich family even considers it. The second type, a bit more realistic, is the wealthy older woman, aka sugar mama. And in this scenario, you'd be playing the role of the boy toy or pool boy with potential. Now, this route might be easier than finding a rich young heiress, but don't get it twisted. There are still some serious qualifications. Besides understanding the mindset of an older, high-status woman, you'll need to bring a few special skills to the table, like doing a handstand while making her laugh, balancing wine glasses on your back, or performing shirtless yoga for 20 minutes straight under soft lighting. If you can pull that off, congrats. You'll be considered fit, flexible, and romantically attentive. Don't ask how I know. Whether this kind of relationship is right or wrong depends on your personal values and how you see the world. But honestly, judge a movie, not a person. Financial investment. When it comes to personal finance, there are tons of ways to invest, but today, let's talk about the most common one, the stock market. Simply put, a stock is proof that you've handed over your money to a company or organization, basically saying, "Here, take my money and go make something happen." But not just any company. It has to be a publicly traded company listed on the stock exchange. There are many types of securities, but the most common one is the stock, or share. When you own stock, you officially become a shareholder, meaning you own a part of the company. If the company turns a profit, you may get a piece of that profit called a dividend. For example, if you own 1 share of Apple, you technically own a tiny part of Apple. Of course, you don't get to make any decisions, but it still sounds cool, or you might just get called a fanboy. These days, buying stocks is easier than grocery shopping. Seriously, groceries involve coupons and small talk, but buying stocks? Just a few taps on your phone and you're in. All you have to do is tune out the noise and trust your own research. If the company does well and the stock goes up, you make money. But if the company crashes and the stock tanks, well, you still get something, a heartfelt goodbye to your money. Next up, bonds. When you lend money to a company or the government, they give you an IOU called a bond. That bond says, "We'll pay you back later, plus a set amount of interest." It's basically you playing the bank. Now here's the catch, and the reason bonds are considered safer than stocks. If the company goes bankrupt, bondholders get paid first. They'll start selling off stuff, equipment, real estate, whatever, to pay back their debts. Stockholders? They're at the back of the line. If there's money left over, great, you get a piece. If not, well, you just help fund someone's bad business decisions. Sometimes you win, sometimes you're holding the bag. Mutual funds. Let's say you have no idea how the stock market works. You don't know which stocks to pick, you don't want to spend hours reading charts. And the word bond still makes you think of James Bond. So what do? Simple. You hand your money to a group of financial pros. They invest it for you, and you get a little piece of paper. Okay, it's digital now, saying, "You're officially part of this mutual fund." From there, it's out of your hands. You just hope and pray these experts actually know what they're doing. Light a candle, cross your fingers, whatever works. If they make smart moves, you earn a return. If they mess up, well, you lose money together, like one big happy financial family. It's the grown-up version of, just give it to someone smarter and hope for the best. Next up, warrants, a high-risk, high-reward kind of play. A warrant is kind of like a time-limited option in the stock market. It gives you the right, but not the obligation, to buy or sell an underlying security, usually a stock, at a specific price before a certain expiration date. Here's a simple example. Let's say a stock from company XYZ is trading at $20. You buy a warrant for $5 that gives you the right to buy that stock for $22 anytime within the next 3 months. Now imagine the stock price jumps to $30 after 2 months. You exercise your right to buy at $22, then turn around and sell at $30. Profit, $8 per share. Subtract the $5 you pay for the warrant, and you walk away with a $3 gain. But what if the stock drops to $18 instead? You just walk away. You're not obligated to buy, so your total loss is limited to the $5 you paid for the warrant. The upside? If the market moves your way, big potential gains. If it doesn't, your loss is capped. In short, a warrant is like placing a smart bet on where the market's headed. It's not for the faint of heart, but for people who enjoy calculated risks, it can be a powerful tool. Another type of right is the preemptive right, or stock purchase rights. This is a special privilege given to existing shareholders, allowing them to buy additional shares before the general public, usually at a discounted price. Let's say you already own shares in a company. The company decides to issue more shares, and to thank you for your loyalty, they let you buy in early, before Wall Street or anyone else gets a chance, and at a lower than market price. You can then turn around and sell those new shares at market price and pocket the difference. It's a nice little perk. The other types of rights and instruments can get pretty complex and aren't super common, but for those who take the time to understand them, there's real money to be made. Crypto. Investing in crypto. You've probably heard about this a lot already. Crypto, or cryptocurrency, is a general term for digital currencies that operate on the internet. The most well-known one is Bitcoin. Most people know it. There was a time when it was trading for around 10 cents, and now it's worth over $100,000. Of course, investing in crypto is still considered a high-risk investment, because making money off other people is not easy. If you had said in the early days that Bitcoin would one day reach $100,000, people would definitely have told you, you need to cut back on whatever you're smoking. Real estate, the paper that prints money. Holding cash can feel risky. Inflation eats away at its value, and it's easy to lose. But holding a piece of paper called a property deed, that can mean financial security for life, especially if that paper happens to be tied to prime real estate. There's a saying, a lifetime of hard work can't compete with the profit from one good piece of land. And honestly, a lot of wealthy people built their fortunes this way. There are generally two types of real estate investors. One group is made up of speculators. They buy when prices are low, then wait for the market to rise before selling for a profit. That approach can make money, sure, but it doesn't really create anything tangible. No homes, no infrastructure, no services. Essentially, you're just locking up capital in land and waiting for someone else, usually the government or a developer, to build a road or mall nearby. Then the land value goes up, and you sell. That's fine, as long as it's your own money on the line. But the problem begins when people start borrowing from banks to do it. And where does that loan money come from? From the deposits of regular people. So if the investment goes wrong, maybe the property doesn't sell, or sells at a loss, or gets caught in legal issues or regulatory changes, or if a real estate bubble bursts, then it's not just the investor who gets burned. The risk can spread through the whole financial system. And when that happens, everyone loses. The second type of real estate investment is more about preserving wealth. Let's say you earn $100,000 a year. Instead of putting it all in a savings account with a 2 to 3% interest rate, which barely keeps up with inflation, you decide to park that money in a piece of land located in a remote but potentially developing area. You don't do anything with it, just let it sit. Over time, as infrastructure expands and people move farther out of the city, the land appreciates. This is a long-term play. You're not flipping it for a quick buck. You're letting time and urban development do the work. But there are two major risks to this strategy. First, you might make a poor choice. Maybe the land has legal issues, zoning restrictions, environmental problems, or simply never sees the growth you were expecting. In that case, your money is just stuck. Second, not everyone has a spare $100,000 lying around each year to invest in land and wait 10 years for it to appreciate. It sounds good in theory, but it's not accessible to most people. Lottery tickets, or anything similar, seem like the easiest way to get rich quick. The buying part is super easy. The winning part? Not so much. Your odds of hitting the jackpot are roughly 1 in a million. But hey, if you really think about it, the chances are just 50-50. Either you win or you don't. And if you don't win, well, maybe luck just wasn't on your side this time. Now, there's a darker side to this. Gambling, betting, underground lotteries, stuff like that. Some people dive into it thinking they'll beat the system. But let's be real, that's not a way to get rich. It's a fast track to going broke. So if you're thinking about gambling your way to success, you might want to reconsider. Not all risks are worth the roll of the dice. Scamming. But hey, if you're still thinking about going down the dark path, there's always scamming, stealing, and robbing. Anything that actually makes money also has a shady version. Stocks, legit way to raise capital, So naturally, there's market manipulation and pump and dump schemes. Real estate? Same story. Crypto? Don't even get me started. You can scam people with just about anything. Fake food, fake meds, fake milk, you name it. The upside of scams and robbery? Fast money. The downside? Jail time. Unless, of course, you're extremely smart or powerful, in which case, you might just get away with it, but in the end, the apple spares no one. Maybe that's why we all have iPhones. Okay. Enough of this high-flying nonsense. Let's get back to old-school methods. Good old-fashioned hard work. Let's start with something every young person thinks about at least once. Starting your own business. Starting your own business. You put up your own capital to start a business, manage everything from scratch, and hire people hoping they'll give their best while you offer them the bare minimum in salary and benefits. That's right, becoming a business owner basically means you've just become capital. Is that a bad thing? Of course not. Capitalism isn't inherently evil, unless it turns into extreme capitalism, colonial capitalism, or exploitative capitalism. At its core, capital is just capital. Not everyone knows how to use it, but those who do, they earn big. A classic go-to for first-time entrepreneurs in the US? Opening a coffee shop. Lost your job? Open a coffee shop. Burnout from your tech job? Coffee shop. Retired early thanks to crypto? Coffee shop. Doesn't matter who you are. If you've got a midlife crisis or a Pinterest board, a cafe sounds like a great idea. People often think it's easy. Hire some baristas, throw in a few succulents, slap on a pun a name like Brewed Awakening, and just wait for that sweet passive income. Meanwhile, you go off to start your next venture, or become a digital nomad in Bali. But in reality, that business will chew you up and spit out your dreams faster than you can say, oat milk macchiato. To lower the risk, some people start with micro businesses. Not selling iced tea on the sidewalk, like your grandma might have done. More like launching a boutique beverage brand on Instagram or selling home-roasted beans from your garage. Some of these people look broke, but they're actually sitting on trust funds. Others just really believe in their homemade kombucha. And coffee isn't the only game in town. There are a million ways to build a business in America. Wholesale, buy low, sell high. E-commerce, do the same, but in sweatpants. Dropshipping, sell products you've never touched to people you'll never meet. Affiliate marketing, recommend someone else's product and pray they click. Run Facebook ads, set money on fire and hope for conversions. Start a clothing brand, because nothing says entrepreneur like printing logos on hoodies. Open a restaurant, and learn how to cry in a walk-in freezer. Start a language school, a podcast network, a co-working space, or just invent something and pitch it on Shark Tank. And of course, if you succeed, sell an online course teaching other people how to start a business. If you fail, same thing, just make the course more relatable. There's no shortage of ideas. But here's the cold hard truth. For every 10 people who start a business, maybe one actually makes it. The other 9? Well, they learn a lot, and then go get a job. Those are your classic, old-school, time-tested ways to build wealth, the kind your grandparents swear by. They may not turn you into Bill Gates, Elon Musk, or some 20-year-old crypto millionaire on a yacht in Miami, but they do offer something way more sustainable: stability. You might not end up flying private, but you won't be starving. You won't be drowning in debt. You'll be able to take care of yourself and maybe even help your family live comfortably. And honestly, that's already a big win. Back in the day, people usually stuck to one job their whole life. If you were a teacher, you were a teacher for 40 years. If you were a bricklayer, you laid bricks till retirement, and maybe your back gave out. But now, we live in the era of side hustles and multiple income streams. You can be a software engineer by day, sell vintage sneakers on eBay by night, and teach yoga on weekends. The modern hustle is all about diversifying, turning your skills, interests, and even your free time into money. The bottom line? You don't have to be a genius, but you do have to try. Put in the effort. Stack your wins. One paycheck, one freelance gig, one smart decision at a time. Another way to get rich? Become famous. I mean, yeah, it's still work, just not the 9-to-5 type. Instead of reporting to a cubicle, you're talking to a camera, performing on stage, or turning your personality into a personal brand. If you manage to stand out in the sea of TikTokers, YouTubers, singers, actors, and everyone else doing dances or giving unsolicited life advice, you might just land those sweet brand deals. And sure, that's when money starts flowing faster. But here's the kicker. Fame fades. One flop and suddenly you're the guy who used to be big on Vine. Worse, you might stay famous, but start selling sketchy products or pushing crypto scams. Then boom, you're on the news, wearing an orange jumpsuit. These days though, one of the hottest ways to make money is by going freelance or becoming a content creator. That whole I work when I want, yeah, it sounds dreamy until you realize what it actually means is, you work every second you're awake. From the outside, it looks aesthetic, working on a laptop in some cute cafe, sipping a $6 oat milk latte, posting Hashtag grind mode on Instagram. But reality? You're crammed in a tiny 10 by 10 room, wearing pajama shorts, one foot on your desk chair, one eye on your deadline, while Slack, Discord, and your email ping nonstop. You're still editing version 101 of the final file at 2 a.m. and praying the client doesn't ghost you. But hey, if you survive that, the income can be solid, not Thor's Asgard rich, but respectable. And of course, there's always the oldest, most classic way to be rich in America. Be born into it. If your parents own 3 houses and a yacht, congrats, you won capitalism. Some call it luck, others call it elite-level reincarnation. If everything goes your way, then having rich parents is honestly one of the best head starts in life. Your chances of getting rich? Sky high. Your parents hand you a chunk of money to start a business. If it works out, congrats, you're a millionaire. If it doesn't, no worries. You just move back home and take over the family company. The only way to get this kind of privilege? Be born into it. So yeah, maybe do some good karma, just in case reincarnation is real. Anyway, those are some of the popular ways to get rich, all gathered from the internet. But remember, knowing how to get rich and actually doing it are 2 totally different things. No matter how you try to make money, always stay ethical and follow the law. And honestly, life's not just about money. I mean, sure, I like money a lot, but there are plenty of ways to live a good life. I choose happiness. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video.